All right, Ibou, we're here live to talk about the men's Survivor Series match at WarGames. Ibou, what's good, man?
Nothing much. I'm happy to be here, man. I always enjoy doing these every month or so. I feel like I haven't been on the channel in a couple months this time around, but I'm excited, and I'm glad we're doing this match because I actually have a handful of things to say, so I won't be kind of like pulling takes out of my ass. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk pro wrestling with my guy Ryan, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, this is about your fourth time around. Let's see. We did Cena, Cody, strike one. We did Punk, Cena at Night of Champions. It was all right. It was all right, but overall disappointment for what it could have been. And then we had Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed versus Jay and Roman at SummerSlam, which was
that was pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good match.
It was a good opener, but we haven't had that epic
blow away. No.
Yeah. So, but I feel like we're progressing up. Like Cena Cody was awful. Like, let's be real. Come on. And then the Punk match was
the Mania one was that Mania Cena Cody was bullshit.
Yeah. And then we kind of gave
that.
Now we're here. So I'm optimistic. Here's the thing. You can love or hate the modern war games. I like them. I like them for what they are in a vacuum. But but it's like a trope for anything. I think anyone would agree that the trope is, oh, it's November, let's have war games. Just like before it was October, let's have Hell in the Cell.
Yes.
Like I wish they were more sporadic, right?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if these things just kind of happened because organically a conflict was set up and had no choice but to be paid off in a war games match. And Levesque himself said in 2022 that he got rid of Hell in the Cell because he didn't want to think of just doing them because it was October. But the truth is now that's what he's done with war games. And at least at the beginning of when he was doing them on the main roster, he at least created conflicts that naturally and organically would time them to where they were set up and they build and build and build. And by the time it's November, obviously we know war games is happening because it's Survivor Series, but the match would be justified. Like, for example, when when Cody and the other baby faces on Raw were fighting with the Judgment Day all freaking year long. And then it was like, yeah, it only makes sense now with all these tag title matches and 6-man tags and 8-man tags. It's about damn time we get a war games match with these guys. And that made sense. Last year, Roman Reigns and his guys have been split from like the solo bloodline. And it only made sense that like there was going to be a conflict there on both sides. So that made sense as well. This time around, I think it's been the most unnatural reaching of this point since Hunter has reintroduced the concept to the main roster. And especially since Seth Rollins' injury, because the truth is, it would have made a bit of sense when Seth was still around because the Vision guys have been fighting the baby faces for the entire year since like Mania. But when he got hurt, to me it screamed like, all right, we probably should like go in a different direction at this point. But they were very much insistent on doing war games, which, okay. And so, we got the pivot of Logan Paul joining the group, at least for now. But it sure does seem like he's just a Vision member now. Drew McIntyre is in the conflict because he's feuding Cody Rhodes. And to be fair, Drew has been linked with Logan Paul for a number of months now. And then our babyface is just a conglomeration of top guys. So there's worse on the same show, which is the women's one, which we're thankfully not discussing tonight. That one is a bit of a mess. This one not as much, but we'll get into the match, the dynamics, what I think about things, and everything in between. For anybody in the chat supporting and watching, thank you. If I have any self-maders in the chat, please give me that shout out in the live chat. And thank you so much for being here. And
yeah, no doubt. As you were talking, I was going to say this feels like a Band-Aid build like they would do on the women's side of things, where they take a few feuds and kind of meld them together.
Yeah, and just kind of fuse them.
Yeah. But you have that here just a little bit. Like on the heel side, Paul Heyman is obviously the conduit, and historically Drew McIntyre has been a mercenary in these war games. He can be bought like he was bought in the Judgment Day.
Right.
He can help out an old friend like Sheamus, where he really wants to attack the bloodline in 2022. So he has a history of kind of latching on and finding himself in quote unquote war. But you get the bloodline, you get the CM Punk stuff with Roman, which has a history, and then Cody. I don't know, Cody just doesn't feel like Cody here. It's funny that they put him at the center of the poster. In comparison to the women's side, they put AJ Lee and Becky Lynch in the center, and that felt a little forced. Putting Brock and Cody here kind of has the same sentiment of forcedness. I believe CM Punk is your de facto leader. I don't know if it's kind of how I felt that it's been presented on TV. Him versus kind of Paul in a way, but maybe Breaker as your kind of leaders of WarGames. But obviously Brock is going to kind of take that crown as well. So do you feel that there's will perhaps be a fraction at the top of the baby faces with who is actually the leader, or do they can kind of put them things aside as we head into the match? You think they're kind of planting a seed is what I'm saying.
That hasn't been the story on TV to this point, but I could see it becoming really, really kind of coming to fruition. Because here's the thing. Part of why it hasn't been the story is because Roman Reigns isn't on TV much. But I could see this week they do a thing. He's scheduled to be on Raw tomorrow and opening the show. Yeah. I could see them doing a thing where Roman Reigns has tension with Cody Rhodes and tension with CM Punk. And that could be the thing that they use to kind of really anchor what ends up being the narrative through line of the match itself. So I could see that. Beyond... I could see it. Like, Roman's not going to listen to Cody Rhodes. He's going to aura farm. He's not going to want to deal with CM Punk. I could see coming out of this match, we shoot Roman's angle for Mania, and we'll see what that ends up being. Maybe it's Braun Breaker. Maybe it's CM Punk himself. Maybe it's Cody Rhodes. I get the feeling that coming out of this match, we're going to know what Roman's WrestleMania direction is, because he doesn't make appearances every week. You know, we're seeing him now. We probably won't see him again until maybe next year. That's my expectation.
So last year he had 6 total matches. He has had 6 total matches. I personally felt that 6 was like the kind of magic number that he would maybe congratulate, or on his contract was kind of able to hit. But you know, maybe he did a little extra one and one shaved off next year. 6, the magic number. Any information, or am I just kind of swinging at that? What do you think? What do you think?
I think this is Roman's last match this year.
No doubt. Yeah, but his contract's up next year, right? Do you think that maybe towards the tail end he has X amount of matches on that? Because he signed a pretty strict contract in 2022.
Yeah.
Right? And around WrestleMania 38. And then let's do the math. That's 5 years, and we're coming up pretty soon.
So what I would say is this. There might be something to that. There might be something to the idea that his schedule and his amount of dates and amount of matches that are mandated by him is very rigid. I could see that for sure. And we'll see how this next New Deal looks, because I mean, it'd be interesting if WWE wants more of Roman and he goes, cool, then you got to fucking pay me for that. Yeah. I think there's going to be, hardball would be way too strong a word, but I'll put it to you this way. Roman Reigns already has a lot of leverage and power in WWE, and I expect him to absolutely utilize that for this next deal. His deal expires in May. I have the specifics on it. It's May. And by all accounts, he's going to get a new deal. The question is going to be the terms. That's what I really want to know. I want to know if they say, hey, can we get more of you? Because, I mean, at this point, Roman Reigns returning, Roman Reigns returning is becoming a bit of a cliche, where he just kind of walks out, and he just the Roman, like the Survivor Series, the SummerSlam 2024 return angle where he shows up and everything, like that was cool, but
that's
we've now seen that angle like 5 more times. It feels like he returned at Madison Square Garden. Now that I'm thinking about it, both the WWE MSG dates this year end with a Roman Reigns return, like in the exact same fashion. Like, he is a return merchant, and I like Roman, but
he's above it. He's above that tag, 100%. His value should not be diminished by being a return merchant or a gimmick of that attitude. It should mean something. Yes,
right. And I, if anything, I'd like him to be around more so that we could flesh out storylines for him again, so we could actually tell some interesting stories with Roman Reigns that are deeper than just kind of he returns, fights the guy that wronged him the last time he was there, he has some tension with a guy, and then he's gone again. So we'll see how it plays out, but I think the heel team will be pretty on point. I don't expect anybody turning following that match from the heel team. Drew McIntyre is probably going to have a blow-off match of Cody Rhodes coming out of the WarGames match. Not super interested in that at this point in time, but that's something I'd expect. Braun Breaker, I want him in this match. I want him to really, really be spotlighted, because here's the thing, Ryan. He wasn't supposed to turn on Seth Rollins when he did. That was a pivot because of Seth Rollins' injury. Once WWE knew that Seth was going to be out for a considerable amount of time, the decision was made. Paul Heyman made that call and was like, we're going to turn Braun Breaker tonight.
Yeah.
And they did that. And I didn't expect it, but when I saw it, I said, hey, that's fucking awesome. This could really like flip the show on its head. And it feels like since then, they essentially
it's a neutral for that, right?
Yeah, they parked him. It felt like Braun Breaker. They said, it's so weird. They did that angle, right, of him killing Seth. That's the thing you do when he's going to win the belt like in a month. And instead they said, okay, we're going to do that huge angle. We're just going to set this guy on fire and shoot him right to the top. And then they pushed him right back down because it seems like WWE determined he wasn't supposed to be at this point yet. So we're going to scale him back. And now it feels like he's in the role he would have been in had Seth still been around in a weird way. And to me, it's like, if you're going to make such a drastic move, like having him turn on Seth Rollins, you have to then follow up on that properly. Otherwise, delay the turn. If Braun, look, like that's my thing. If Braun wasn't going to be the champion right now, right, I would have said to them, all right, guys, look, just write Seth Rollins off and let Braun just be this guy who's kind of succeeding in Seth's absence and kind of like in his head going, do I need this guy? Why do I even fucking work for this guy who's not around? He's injured. I'm doing great by myself. And you could just slow build it that way, in my personal opinion, if you weren't going to rocket ship him right away. So I say all this to say, I hope the match itself, it was not tonight, it's next Sunday, but or Saturday, I believe.
Saturday, yes.
I hope that it's a big one for Braun Breaker. Because another thing I noticed, Ryan, was in the return angle for Roman Reigns, a lot of people were spotlighted. And one of them wasn't Braun. In that final angle, Brock Lesnar kills CM Punk. He kills Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns comes in and blasts him with a Superman punch. And then he gets bum rushed by Bronson Reed. And then Roman Reigns takes out Bronson Reed in the NYPD. Cool stuff, right? But where's Braun in that equation? You know?
See what I took that as? I took it as Roman was getting his heat back off Bronson, and they were kind of pushing that aside to build to something else. That's how I instantly took that.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that it's a big night for him. I really hope it is.
As it should be. As it should be, right? He is the future. And obviously they showed their hand with the spear and him the one taking out Seth Rollins, right? They showed their hands with that. And why did they keep him away in the battle royal that Jey Uso won to go face CM Punk? Why did they keep him out of that CM Punk match in the World Heavyweight Championship? So there seems to be a plan, but it seems to your thing. I said neutral, you said parked. I think it's should be ramped up and in gear kind of heading out of here. I agree with your sentiment there. 100% there. And I don't think them the bad guys should really have any like ill will towards each other. I think they'll kind of be as one. So that would kind of bring ill will somewhere else. And where will that lie? I think that will lie with the bad guy or the good guys here on the left. Let's kind of complete that team and talk. Then we'll talk about Brock's team afterwards. All right. So you talked about Roman. His contract's up in May, and you're very curious on what those details are. I have one more question about that while we have Roman Reigns. Now, do you think that, all right, let's just be straight. Vince is low-key a mark, right? Like, especially for like a Roman. Yeah, you want the dates, you want the money. Paul plays them both ways. He agrees, and Roman makes out for the dates and the money. I don't think there's going to be an issue with TKO with the money, right? They seem to be fine with the guy at Roman's level making that kind of money because he can back it up with the merch and all that stuff. They see the value in Roman Reigns. It's not them lowballing some NXT guy or some low level guy, right?
No, Roman Reigns is big business. They'll meet his terms and keep him. The question are going to be what the terms are going to be.
What are the terms? And is that where the hardball comes in? Because with TKO, is do they look at it as a per appearance basis, and that Roman's better hope that
Mhm.
that it's a per appearance basis, because as of now, if he's appearing 12 times a year for 6 matches, so to speak, 15,
Mhm.
whatever, right? And they see this big money return, is Roman Reigns going to cash out? And does it get to a point where he says, Hollywood, I'm good? Not that he's back full time, or does he like kind of, that's, you just spark so much of my interest on the nuts and the bolts of that too.
I'm telling you, nobody's talking about it. It's something to really monitor. Again,
Yeah.
the story is not him becoming a free agent. That's a non-story. Roman Reigns is not leaving WWE. The story is what will be Roman Reigns' new arrangement, because whatever they come to will be his new arrangement for the next 3 to 5 years. And that is important, because the next 3 to 5 years are a stretch where WWE is going to have to, not should, have to make some new stars. Roman Reigns will be Roman Reigns at the end of this next deal will be anywhere from 43 to 45. Who else will be 43 to 45? Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. CM Punk will be 50. You have to make new guys. And so how you utilize Roman Reigns in conjunction with that process will be very, very pivotal and important. And so if Roman takes some type of brother deal where he's making more money and he's like, dude, I'm doing 4 matches a year with this next thing, and in these 4 matches, I'm not putting anybody over, that's a problem. So again, it's about, if you're WWE, in your mind, you should be mentally telling yourself, this should be the last time we pay Roman Reigns big money as a regular guy. And we're going to use this to make guys to where when Roman's deal is up, he needs us more than we need him. And we can tell him, hey, Roman, it's cool, man. We'll call you once a year for Mania. We got guys now. Yeah. That's how you have to set yourself up. Because if Roman, after this next deal, if they don't operate productively over the course of his next deal, and they find themselves at the end of that deal reliant on Reigns' presence still in 2028/20 or whatever the year will be. Never was a math guy. But like, if they find themselves reliant on him the same way that in the 2010s they were reliant on Triple H and Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, you find yourself back in trouble. So again, it's about being proactive. It's about being vigilant with maintaining the health of your roster, and it's about utilizing Roman Reigns smartly in terms of his role and how he plays into that.
Yeah. My prediction is low years, high dates. Like I think they try to get the most form and then reassess it in 2 years, 3 years, right? And then
I mean that'd be smart.
I think that would be smart for Roman, and I think that would be smart for TKO, just to see where we're at, use that equity, build up the future. Hopefully they have the foresight, and they're not, because business-wise, they've been very forefront. You would see a lot of right now rewards. In a way, you could see a pattern where they care more about the right now. And you get what I'm saying. Like, I hope that they have more down the road vision, and instead of like blinders right now kind of vision, right? So
right.
I would say 2 to 3, 4. I don't want to say double the years, but or I don't want to say maybe double the appearances, and maybe what he had for appearances in 5 years, they give him a 3 years contract type of thing. And then the money is obviously whatever percentage increase that he feels that he needs. That's the deal that I would kind of push for TKO. And I would risk it just to kind of bulk him up, because the reason why we're talking about this, he just doesn't feel like he should. He doesn't have that aura. He does. Let's be real. That aura isn't, the aura is there that they have at WrestleMania 40, so to speak, but it doesn't feel like we're getting the return on it from storyline wise. Let's just put it that way. And that's where he's the most value. I
totally agree. Listen,
the combination of my thoughts.
In my brain, you got to do some big time box office stuff with Roman and Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu. One of the things that I was told, I was speaking to somebody close to the situation who would know, and they told me that next year they want to really cement Braun Breaker, Obafemi, and Jacob Fatu. Now, on paper, that sounds like a great plan. I'm a big fan of all 3 of those guys. I think they're awesome. I think that in the right situation with the right creative, they're all top guys. But to get those people to where they need to be, and a lot of that will come down to their talent, to which they have an abundance of, but they're going to need help from the existing incumbent top guys. And it can't just be Cody, CM Punk just doing jobs to these guys. Can't even just be Drew McIntyre. Roman Reigns, you have to get him in on the act for that to really cement the guy. And I'll make a Japanese wrestling comparison here. So, New Japan Pro Wrestling in the 1990s, they cemented 3 wrestlers as their next generation of guys. And those would be Keiji Muto, Shinya Hashimoto, and Masahiro Chono. And the reason that those guys were able to be stars in the eyes of the Japanese fans was because they beat the incumbent guys, whether it be Antonio Inoki or Riki Choshu or Fujinami or monsters like Vader. Now, I bring up this history lesson because going into the 2000s, Ryan, there was a next generation of guys that they wanted to get over. Yuji Nagata, Satoshi Kojima, Manabu Nakanishi, and Hiroyoshi Tenzan. Those guys, Ryan, all ended up becoming main eventers in New Japan. However, they didn't get to be put over by the guys before them because a lot of the guys before them left the promotion before it happened. And so you had a situation where the company saying, hey guys, these are our next generation, these are our top guys. But the crowd, there's almost a vibe of they didn't buy it because they never saw them really beat people of note. And I bring that up because in WWE, let's just say there's a situation where Roman Reigns fucks off, right? Doesn't put anybody over. Isn't really instrumental in the crowning or cementation of Jacob and Oba, right? And WWE says, hey guys, Oba's big business, Jacob's big business. There's going to be a contingent of fans that go, are they really, or are they just who's left? Because I never seen them beat Brock Lesnar. I've never seen them beat Cody. I've never seen them beat Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's really important. And to your point, maybe the strategy should be, maybe the play is you sign Roman, you say, look, Roman, 2 years, give us 12 matches in both years, man. We're going to protect you. You're going to be strong. You're Roman Reigns. You're the fucking man. You're a badass. We need you in both years to do one clean job to one of our guys. This year it's Braun. Next year it's this guy. Around that job, you're going to do all kinds of cool stuff. You can do whatever the fuck you want. We'll work these guys. We'll do tags, everything in between. Do us a favor. This year you put over Braun Breaker. Next year you put over Jacob Fatu. We'll pay you X amount of dollars.
Yep.
You got to set up something like that because that way you satisfy your client, but you also protect yourself as a promotion.
And you're transferring the equity. Let's be real.
Yes, you transfer the equity, and that's one of your big jobs as a booker, booking long term. How to do that? You always have to look ahead. You always have to book steps ahead, not just in terms of long term planning, so that like creative is smooth, but you do it in terms of making guys. You have to always say, in my opinion, I've expressed this to people in WWE and AEW directly, Ryan. I've always said with creative, when you go into a year or a stretch, identify certain guys on your roster and say to yourself, these are the guys that I want to bring up and get over the next 4 to 5 to 6 months. And when you do that, as simple as it sounds, when you do that, it makes booking so much easier. When you just say, this is who I picked to get over. Because when there's no hierarchy in terms of who's on the ascent, who's kind of trending upwards, and there's no rhyme or reason to who's winning and losing, you just have a jumbled mix of guys who are no more or less over than each other. You don't want that. You want hierarchy. You want to feel like I can get on board with this guy because he's on the come up. You know, that's very, very, very important. It's very important.
Yep. And then looking even to WWE history, look at Bret Hart is the man. 1992. They pull that shit at WrestleMania 9. He never gets his heat back off Hogan. He never gets that belt off Hogan, and he doesn't get that golden era rub. He's swimming in the fucking new generation era with decreasing fans, decreasing attendance, decreasing merchandise. You look at the ruthless aggressive era, SummerSlam 90. What's SummerSlam 02? Brock's able to go beat the Attitude Era star of The Rock.
And that was big for him. That was big for him.
That was massive for him, right? So those are just 2 WWE instances that just to kind of build off your example as well.
Yes.
So, all right, enough Roman Reigns. Just get us back from that. We have that storyline riches that we had with the bloodline. Just don't have us with that great value kind of stuff that we're getting now. Speaking of great value, Jimmy and Jey Uso, with no disrespect. I didn't hate the risk to go with Jey Uso, but it feels like Jey Uso is like the same Jey Uso all year.
Mhm.
And they've been holding on to that pivot. They've been throwing not darts. They've been throwing building blocks for that pivot. Jey Uso, what is the pivot? What do you see it? Do you feel it? Do you think it's needed? Or can he just stay Jey Uso and he's just going to fall down the card, but he's just going to have that relic of what that Jey Uso top moment was? I'm a Jey Uso defender. I thought it was worth the risk. I thought he was over enough, and I'm sure the metrics and the numbers that we talked about kind of were worth the swing to go with it, right?
Mhm.
And to justify it. But in my opinion, it felt like an unreal angle, pun intended, right? For him to go in there and win the Royal Rumble and beat Gunther. That feels like it was for the reality show. And the fallout was smart to get the belt off him early. I think that was smart for him in the
It was the
long
right
run.
call. It was the right call.
Absolutely. And I was harping that the whole time.
Yeah.
But I just feel that it's just like him kind of sticking to the bloodline. And he's just been, ever since it feels like SummerSlam, he's been just kind of going in the same momentum. And it's not like he was angry back in the day. It feels like his angriness feels empty and the story feels empty. To get Jey Uso where he needs to go, what do you think the move is?
See,
what I asked.
the reason why you feel that way is because it's an underdeveloped idea. You know, the concept of Jey Uso being pissed off and Roman Reigns kind of getting in his ear and being like, look, man, like, fuck all these people, dude. Like, you are a main eventer guy. You've proven that to yourself. Be selfish, take no prisoners. I don't hate that concept. I really don't. And Jey Uso, as a result, turning around and basically sticking it to CM Punk and this guy and that guy. Again, I don't hate that as a concept. But it's an underdeveloped idea and it's also, they haven't committed to it that much, because 1 week he'll do that, and another week he's like back to being a happy-go-lucky ally to the baby faces, and there's too much of a back and forth there. And then like there's the LA Knight involvement, to which now he's been removed from the storyline completely. And again, it's like it feels, I'm a comic book guy, Ryan, and there's times in the story when you read a book and like one guy's writing like issues like 17 to 20, and then it just switches to like another dude who writes like the next 3 issues, and another guy, and then you will feel it, because like there will just be inconsistencies in people's portrayals. Jey Uso feels very inconsistent, and now he feels kind of back to just regular yeet Jey Uso, and it's like I'm not really sure what's going on with any of that, and it also feels like some of the backstage machinations are playing out on air in terms of how it's affecting him. And what I mean by that is Roman Reigns still wants to tell a story with Jey Uso in a singles capacity, where they both find themselves going for the same thing on equal footing compared to 2020 when they were not on equal footing. And the thing is, he wants to tell the story, but the other thing, Ryan, is he's not around. And there's also people in the company that don't particularly have interest in telling that story the way that Roman Reigns does. And so he'll get to TV and be like, hey, we should do this pre-tape, we should do that pre-tape. And they'll acquiesce to his desire to do that. But then they'll do that on that show. Roman will be on the next week and they go, bro, we're using Jey in this way. And it's like, fuck, you're zigging, then you're zagging, and then you're zigging, and then you're zagging.
The story is half pregnant. The story is half fucking pregnant.
Yes. And then it's also problematic because, again, to your point, Jey Uso's frailties as a performer have shown themselves this year. And more people are catching on to the fact that there's a lot of holes in his game as a performer. It was worth the swing to take it. It was worth taking the swing on Jey Uso, because, like, to your point, he was over as fuck. He was. Last year when he beat Braun Breaker, I thought that was one of the best WWE TV matches of the year. That was a great match.
It was good.
And, yes.
Yeah, 2 of them were good. Two of them were good.
He
Two
can,
matches that were
he
good
has
matches
his moments, right? The problem is similar to Solo Sikoa, but not as bad. Sometimes they kind of overextend with these guys. Yeah. They kind of like put them in spots. It's just, that's not their role, man. They're not a 1A. They're not that type of guy. And you'll see it because you'll watch the match and you go, fuck, like, look, man, I get the attempt. Jey Uso, who I don't even dislike for all his flaws, he's just not a main event singles title holding type of guy. He is not. And the fans have begun to catch on to this. And so how WWE wrestles with that, no pun intended, while trying to keep multiple sides and factions happy behind the scenes and keep them consistent in this presentation is going to be something else that's interesting to monitor over the next year. And going into this match, I don't know what the fuck his motive is for any of this. It just seems like he's just like, hey, man, I'll back you up, Punk, because I don't like the vision. I mean, sure, man, I guess.
I'm just beating for the belt. Where's his edge? You know what I mean?
And then beyond that, I thought before his whole thing was, man, I don't give a fuck about division, man. That's not my problem. They're not my fight. That was his thing. His whole thing, he would tell his brother, like, dude, I don't care what, but if LA Knight's getting jumped by these guys, what are they to me? I don't give a shit. I want the championship. That was his whole thing. And Roman Reigns was in his ear, like I just said. Fuck everybody. Go for yours. And now he's like, yo, CM Punk, I got your back at WarGames. And it's like, what's the consistency there? Again, very, 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 very inconsistent character. And so his involvement in this it has left us in that type of situation where he's just a support character. It is what it is. And that's the same thing with his brother, who at this point he's just the good Uso that wants to help people because he's a babyface, and that's just kind of who he is. So those are the Usos. Now this leaves us with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
Punk is at the heart of this issue, has been the entire time. There's the now big issue of the gaping hole of Seth Rollins, because at the core of all this is going to be the Punk and Seth Rollins thing, which has been going on all year. And I know a lot of people got tired of the program, but I'll tell you what, Seth's absence, in my opinion, has been felt, because it kind of leaves you turning like with who are the main event heels to throw at CM Punk on Monday Night Raw. Logan Paul has been called into this situation now, and I didn't particularly want that to happen. But I now also understand, like, man, who else were you going to do? Because they didn't heat up anybody else to slot in properly for this. They didn't heat anyone else to where it would make sense. And clearly they're leaning on the dynamic of cocky young heel versus grizzled veteran CM Punk and kind of generating something off of that. And I think the results have been decent to this point, but it is obviously a Band-Aid on a hole. It is obviously like them trying to plug in like a leak. They're like, all right, we need someone to fill in that Rollins dynamic with Punk. Logan Paul will do that. And because of that, because of the fact that this is a makeshift dynamic that they kind of came up with on the fly to make this match work, it's not terribly interesting. And even though Punk is the heart of the matter, now they've had to kind of look elsewhere to kind of really spark this thing. And what I will say is, to his credit, Cody Rhodes has done a good job, because they threw Cody Rhodes into this thing. And he cut an excellent promo on Friday. And it was
like the old Cody a little bit.
It felt like the old Cody Rhodes. He had some edge. He had something to say. He had something to talk about. And beyond any of that, Cody Rhodes centralized the conflict and gave it an idea. Because one of my big things about these big group fights and conflicts and matches is, what is this about? What is this even about? Like, sometimes you'll watch a bunch of like 10 guys fucking fighting. You're like, what is this even about again? And at least Cody Rhodes grounded this and said, this is about my ongoing, never-ending struggle with Paul Heyman and the fuckers that he throws at me. He'll throw this guy. He'll line him up. Roman Reigns, I take him out. This guy, he lines him up. I take it out. You always fucking do that or this and that. Steiners, man, the Rhodes will always own the Steiners. Bronson Reed, he's not ready for the big time. I'll let him know that. I'll show him that in the cage. Brock Lesnar, I fucking beat Brock Lesnar. Twice. What else you got? What else you got for me, Mr. Heyman? And I like that. The Cody Rhodes and Heyman have on-screen chemistry, and they always have. They've had since the Mania
stuff before, so it was great. Yeah,
before Mania 39, that one singles promo where they had, because there seems to be a dynamic where they know each other. There is mutual respect, but they find themselves on opposing sides constantly. And again, Cody Rhodes with that one promo, if nothing else, he made me go, all right, I'm sold
something for the first time in a long time.
100%. He sold you on the idea of this match, to which before that it was just a mix and match of guys, and a lot of them are main event guys. So like the MSG angle, for example, like a lot of the crowd loved it because it's big stars doing big star stuff. But to me, it's like it was a little shallow, because again, it's just like you're just throwing moments at me, but like, what's this whole thing about? And if nothing else, Cody gave me the first instance of grounding this in something tangible and real, and something to where coming out of the match, I feel like things will be affected, characters will be affected by the result of the match. So I thought Cody did a great job from that respect. And really, he's doing a lot of the legwork there, because again, Logan Paul is just filling a hole. Brock Lesnar just showed up for an angle. Bronson Reed he's been doing good with his push, but he's just kind of like a henchman still. Drew McIntyre is just, here to be here. And Braun Breaker, as we said, has been parked. So I guess my big takeaway as I'm kind of talking myself through this whole thing is that Cody Rhodes kind of unlocked this as a match in terms of like centering it in something. And we'll see how that plays into the actual wrestling. But I'm interested to see what the Monday segment's going to be with Cody Rhodes with regards to Roman Reigns and CM Punk.
Yeah, because he has underlining issues with both those guys. You know, with Cody, his tell is when he is like heaving after his words, when he's kind of catching his breath.
Oh, that's when he's fired up.
Yeah, that's when you could tell he has that. I don't want to say motivation to kind of on TV. I don't want to say he's going through the motion, but he kind of liking the creative that he's in, so to speak, right? Like content. Now, I got two questions for you. The world champion is obviously CM Punk, and the WWE champion is Cody Rhodes.
Mhm.
Where are you on the state of those titles? Cody Rhodes, now your second time world champion, coming off a very good match with John Cena at WrestleMania. They redeemed themselves at SummerSlam. Excuse me. They redeemed themselves from the WrestleMania debacle. But Cody Rhodes, in my opinion, still feels a little big brothered by John Cena in a way. John never truly put him over. John Cena accepted him in my eyes. He just never really truly put him over. I don't know if there was a little, I don't want to say jealousy because John Cena is a megastar, right? But John Cena walked into a situation where the company was on fire, and Cody Rhodes, his little brother, his chauffeur, so to speak, was leading it. And I'm sure there was a bit of surprise to him and a bit of maybe let's put it pride in a way, but more surprise in a way that's like, oh, the kid made it, right? I don't know if I would have picked him to make it. That's kind of how I think John perceives Cody. Not that he dislikes him, he's just a little surprised. And he never truly gave him that on-screen torch passing besides the excellent match at SummerSlam.
I'm not sure. I don't know what Cody. I don't know what's. I know Cody has reverence for John Cena. I don't know how John feels about Cody. I think the SummerSlam match and post match is well and good enough as a moment. The problem is that was fucking forgotten because they drowned that out and canceled it out by immediately rushing to a Brock Lesnar angle. And beyond all my issues with Brock Lesnar being back, one of my other issues from a wrestling standpoint was the fact that it didn't let a very, very important moment breathe, which is John losing the belt and graciously hugging Cody Rhodes in the post match. Because to me, WWE is so obsessed with ending their shows on moments. That is a moment right there. That there is a moment. And beyond any of that, you exercise the demons of WrestleMania and all that was as a failure. And you also reiterate Cody Rhodes' place as the face of this company, the eye of the storm, and the torchbearer leading this promotion during this period that they've had.
Because he had that coming out of 40, and he was building up to that coming out of 39 to 40.
100%. And I think it's been a very, very, very weird year for Cody Rhodes. His weirdest in WWE. And because he's a made man, it hasn't really hurt him much. He's not walking out to bad reactions. He's not getting booed.
A little bit in the perception of us. Not I don't want to say us, but he's vulnerable in my opinion.
I'll tell you this.
To get to that tip top tier of the legacy wise, historical wise.
I'll say this. If Cody Rhodes continues the trajectory he's on, he will be in trouble in a year. And I think he knows that. And I think that's why he approached that promo on Friday the way he did, where he basically put the team on his back and said, I'm going to save this build and make it something. But beyond any of that, he also made sure to note in the promo, like I said, I beat all these fuckers you throw at me. Mm-hmm. I'm King Kong. I'm the fucking head of this jungle. I beat Brock. I beat this guy. I beat that guy. I'm the man. That's top guy behavior. And I think he's also been hurt by the fact that he's on a show where there's not many. It feels like a lot of the people that matter in this company on the men's side are not on the show that Cody Rhodes operates in.
They're on the wrong.
It feels like Cody Rhodes is on an island having to make do with what is around him. And that has hurt him as well. And so this is good for him that he's in this WarGames match with all these bigwigs and top guys. Yep. It's good for him. And he's taken advantage of it by basically saying, give me the fucking ball. Clear out. Hold on. I take the last shot here.
And speaking of, I think that he is a skew guy, and he says in 6 weeks this company's mine again when John Cena's done. Because it's really not his company right now. It's been John Cena's company all year. And from a creative standpoint, I don't know if from the top It's just like, well, we're just going to roll out the ball for John, and it kind of is what it is, and everything else is rocking and rolling, and we're just going to stay creatively fulfilled, big, booming, whatever. And I don't want to say they're vulnerable, but John has sucked a lot of the attention out of everyone else's in the room, and you can see it and you can feel it. And I think perhaps that is the vulnerable issue. Coming January 2026, these guys need to hit the ground running.
Yeah, I've heard so many different whispers and rumbles about how Cody and people in WWE feel like everybody is taking kind of like a step back and deferred to John Cena and let this year be about him and his retirement run. And that they kind of are looking forward would imply that they want him out of there, but more like they're eager for the next step and kind of like reclaiming their place. And that's like everybody at the top. And I'm not sure how they do that. And I don't know what their approach will be towards achieving this. What I do know is that Cody Rhodes, I'd imagine, is aware of like what's happening with himself and has to be vigilant in kind of digging himself out of a situation that will, if you allow to continue, will leave him unable to come out of. And so again, and I saw all of that just in the promo that he cut on Friday.
Yeah, he knows it's coming. He knows that the oxygen is ready to be taken because John is kind of holding that right now, 100%. And he's trying to set himself up for it.
It was not lost on me that he played a role in Carmelo Hayes winning on Friday against Bronson Reed, and Carmelo Hayes and Cody have had this kind of quiet.
Yep, trained him when he was hurt, stuff like that. This is
trained him when he was hurt. He was
worked with him to get back. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. He did that. Carmelo Hayes was called up and immediately faced Cody Rhodes. And I remember last year when Cody had that angle with Kevin Owens, there was a TV on SmackDown where like Carmelo Hayes was like when Cody was beginning to unravel in the feud with Kevin, Melo was talking shit in the back. And I'm not saying this is all one big cohesive story that's been planned forever. What I'm saying though is that there are enough seeds there to where this is a thing that could be an actual thing. I think that, and also Carmelo Hayes, since that period, tried a partnership with The Miz that did not work, and he's now turned babyface, and he's finally starting to get some reactions. I think it'd be interesting, right? I think it'd be interesting if they continue to play off this and told a story where Melo essentially was kind of like, brother, I don't want you to be my mentor. Stay the fuck away from me. But at the same time, they find themselves as allies to where they're going to have a Falcon Captain America thing going. And you kind of play off of that. And the reason why I think it would be prudent on the part of Cody Rhodes is, again, he himself said this, Ryan, on an AEW podcast in 2019. The business dies when you stop making stars.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so you always have to reach out and reach down and pull certain people up and get people in the mix. Identify those guys, get them in your orbit, work with them, tag with them, do programs with them, do segments with them, get them on screen, get them over. And then, some of them will bear fruit or whatever the fucking analogy is. And you never know. Maybe now Carmelo Hayes finds himself in a position where it's worth Cody's time to do a pay-per-view program with him.
And mind you, Carmelo's first match on SmackDown after being the number one pick was Cody Rhodes.
It's Cody Rhodes. So, yeah, man, I guess as I kind of talk my way through this whole thing, Cody's a big part of getting this thing to be it would be too big a compliment to say that this is a program that's like really working, even though like the angles are over. It's certainly working more than the women's match. And I'll say this also about the Cody promo. There feels like there's stakes of some kind, and at least they're approaching this seriously. And my problem with the women's WarGames, among the many problems that has, is that the tone of all the angles is very whimsical. The ladies are very like happy and clapping and hugging and kissing each other and shit. And it's like, it's WarGames, dude. Fuck all of that. Like, you're going into a match that could change your lives. And at least if nothing else, they're treating this thing on the men's side like it's at least something to be taken seriously. So that's a big boost. And again, tomorrow's Monday angle with Roman Reigns will be very important because I'd imagine it'll be a live segment with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. And then as a match itself, because we have not talked about like the actual match. As a match itself, I've already mentioned that I want it to be a big night for Braun Breaker. I want him to kill people in that ring. The Usos are prime targets to get their asses handed to them. Truthfully, Cody's not going to be
Sacrificial lambs, of course.
Cody.
Yeah.
Yes, Cody's not going to be thrown around like a bitch. It's going to be the Usos. It is what it is.
And respect, right? Like,
Yeah,
respect.
yeah. I think the match will be pretty good. You know, again,
What are the
I'm not.
tropes? You know, I really like the first one. Is this the one where they kind of go to the gimmicks and break out the blood and enough with the kendo sticks? You know what I mean? Is this the time that they do that?
Yeah, listen, I think that women's match is going to have a ton of Slim Jim tables and trash cans and kendo sticks. It's inevitable. I'd like this one to be rooted in some great physicality, which I think is possible with some of the names involved. You know, I don't see Brock Lesnar using I mean, maybe he does use a fucking kendo stick, but I'd imagine he's just going to do a lot of Brock Lesnaring, which is German suplexes.
He's going to use the shit around him just to do what he does.
Right. Braun Breaker, he is more dangerous than a weapon, in my opinion. He it's like Taz used to say, my hands are registered deadly weapons. But like some of these guys, I want to just see them go. And what I'll say is this. I don't know how. I mean, I think the match will be baseline good. I'm not a huge fan of the modern WWE WarGames approach. I like somebody to bleed. I ask this every year. Sometimes we'll see. What I'll say is this: last year, Punk was involved in the WarGames match, and Punk has a good mind for wrestling, and he played a part in some of like the construction of that match. And I was very happy with how it turned out. I liked last year's WarGames match. It was rooted in a lot of personality and character, and the dynamics that played off of Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. And I found it to be a charming match last year. Even if not like a classic. I'd like to think there will be an appeal to seeing the Cody, Roman, Punk trio kind of like coming off like fucking the Avengers in this thing.
Yeah. So back in '87, and Punk is a history nerd like us too, right? So back in '87, WarGames started and they were outside. This is the first modern WarGames that is outside. I wonder if they're going to get any of the old tropes there. Maybe Paul Heyman will be locked in. Maybe Paul Heyman will be maybe kind of trapped like JJ, and maybe they will be more eager to get Paul Heyman, and that will kind of cost them the match in a way too. If you want to kind of look at Cody's promo, it was directed to Paul Heyman, and he was overlooking the guys that he laid in front of them, so to speak, right? Paul Heyman was in this calendar year has screwed CM Punk and screwed Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, right? So I wonder if if they're going to look at the past, because I'm reaching here. '87, we're all outside with the Great American Bash touring, whatever, right? And so maybe it sparks, and because of course Cody's dad was the booker, or he was very involved with that. CM Punk knows that stuff like the back of his hand. Maybe those two will dictate, since you said that Punk had a lot to do with the match last year. He sees San Diego being outside in a baseball stadium, and he's like, maybe just sparks his brain like it did with mine. Who knows? We'll see. Do you think that there will be a big angle in this match, or do you think it's going to be paint by numbers? The match is the match. It's going to be baseline very good. Some aspects of it will be great, and it will be a success. I believe that. But will there be an angle that we talked about earlier? They need momentum heading into the 2026, where John Cena is not around and he's sucking up a lot of the air. Will they have an angle wherever it is? And have we not seen someone will benefit it that we don't see getting built up, underlined here? Let me give you an angle where you can marinate on that, because you thought about the women's sides being terribly booked, and it's very, very baseline, mediocre at best. But one positive, in my opinion, is using that angle, that build in the women's and the angle is to kind of build towards Charlotte Flair character developing into trusting Moors and becoming more appealing as a babyface, so to speak. Is there any way one of these 10 guys, I'm going to flag 2 of them after this, that there's a baseline angle somewhere or some point that we don't see coming, that they can build momentum and grow as a character coming out of it? The first one, go ahead, give me your answer. And if you don't answer my guys, I'll kind of throw 2 guys at you. Go ahead.
Well, I mentioned Braun already because I think this has to be an important one for him. And I think I'll put it you this way. I think that we're going to know like 2 to 3 WrestleMania matches coming out of this. I think a number of the people in this match will be involved with each other at WrestleMania. We may not know what those people are yet. I think it'd be fucking badass personally, and they won't do this because they're not gutsy enough. I think if Braun Breaker after this match, if the heels won and he was like either on this night or on at Monday was like, LOL, I don't fucking need Brock Lesnar and Logan Paul. Both of you get the fuck out of here. If he speared Brock on this night and then kicked Logan out of his group on Monday, I'd be like, holy shit, this guy's the man.
Yeah. And then what does Heyman do? Like Heyman has to go with him, right? So
yeah. And Braun looks at Heyman and goes like, you didn't tell me about fucking Brock. I let it go. We won the match. I used him to win the match, but I don't fucking want him. And you let him know that.
And you already caged me with the world title. My time's now. Get on back. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Heyman could do the thing of like, Brock is here to help. He's gonna come after you. And Brock like, I don't give a shit. Let him come after me. That would get him. Oh my God, he'd come off like the man. He'd come off so badass doing something like that.
He's a babyface. Let's go.
Where he's just kind of like, dude, I used him to win that fucking match, but God damn it, you let me know anytime you call people in here and fuck that guy. And imagine Logan Paul either that week or week after being like, yeah, man, you really got him going to high five Braun, and Braun being like, get the fuck out of my face to you too. Why are any of you people here? You know, I'm here to win a championship. And I trust Bronson Reed. That's my guy. You know, he points at him or something. Fuck everybody else.
The Bronze, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then Heyman, you have to jump on and you're going to get killed, right? Yeah, so we'll see. Nice. All right. So the guy I had in mind was on the babyface was Jey Uso, like we talked about earlier. I don't want to go on a Jey Uso spree again, but he could benefit the most from having an angle in some way, some form, and just growing coming out of this, or going in a fine direction instead of swimming downstream as he kind of is as he is right now. And the other one is we haven't barely fucking talked about him, and he's probably the second most interesting guy on the bad guy side of things, and that's Drew McIntyre. Is there anything that he can do? Because he's been the same fucking guy.
Yes, he has
since 2022 now. And it's just like it worked with Roman, and then that worked with Punk, and then it's just not working anymore. And I think Cody's benefiting and then the lack of Cody hotness that we were just talking about. Drew McIntyre is playing into that, and I know it's a dead brand on SmackDown, but Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes on paper should be building that up. But they're both swimming in the same characteristics they have been for the last 2 to 3 years. Is there anything that he can do to evolve himself to build momentum characteristic wise heading into 2026?
I'm really not sure. Well, actually, I do know he needed to beat Cody for credibility purposes, and that didn't happen. The ship is already sailed. The ship is sailed from that standpoint. Drew McIntyre has no credibility. He needed to beat Cody Rhodes and win the belt, even if he was going to flip back. The fact that he didn't made him look so dumb, and then they went with the I'm being screwed angle, and it's
again.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it, dude. I really, again, when you beat the credibility out of a guy, whether it be Drew McIntyre, and in years past it was Bray Wyatt, it just, to me, I check out and I go, I don't take you seriously, you know. And so that is what it is. That's the position that McIntyre finds himself in. From a performance,
where's the cool factor that was there, right? It was gone in a way too.
They pissed away their own hard work because they did a tremendous job at Drew in late 2023 when it comes to transitioning his character from face to heel, and all of his motivations being completely justifiable. It was all rooted in the fact that he resented the babyfaces accepting Jey Uso and integrating Jey Uso as just one of the guys, because he was like, why are we absolving him of all the crimes of the bloodline? And you know, we saw him get disillusioned from that, and that transition was really, really well done. He was a character that at his best usage from 2023 to 2024, he was the guy that told the truth, and it was the actual truth. Now he's the guy that is a fake truth teller, but he's not a truth teller. He's just a guy that whines, but it's unsubstantive. And again, we watch the matches, Drew. You lose. You just lose matches. It is what it is. You look dumb, and so his character doesn't have credibility. So I don't care about him anymore. I want to hear what he has to say. No, there's nothing worse than a ranting character on TV, and you don't want to hear the rant. You know, so that sucks. From a performance standpoint, I haven't loved a Drew McIntyre match since the Hell in a Cell. It almost feels like that was a soft retirement for Drew McIntyre. So what I'd love to see in this match is him kicking ass and making somebody bleed. If he's fucking clawing a guy's face off or something, I'd be like, I could get into that. But But beyond that, I don't know. It's gonna take a
So is the
Herculean.
angle with Cody. Yeah, the angle's with Cody.
That
It
has
has
hurt him. It is going to take a Herculean performance from Drew McIntyre, truthfully, for him to catch my eye in this match. And I'm not sure he has that in him, and I'm not sure the match will be structured to get that out of him. So we shall see. Maybe he rediscovers some of his prior chemistry with CM Punk in the match. I could see that. But beyond that, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, but is Punk even interested? Let's be real.
I don't know. I don't know. I can
Is
see
Punk
Punk being
interested
like,
enough to do that?
I can see Punk in his head being like, dude, I did all this for this guy, and look what he did with it. Because think about it. That Hell in a Cell match, and a lot of it is creative, but fuck, the follow-up to that, like Drew McIntyre he's not capitalized on everything that came out of that. So we'll see. But the guy that I'm really my eyes out for is Braun Breaker. I want him to just be fucking death incarnate in that match.
All right. Yeah, no doubt. I think he is the focus in the move as well. All right, we haven't talked about Logan Paul at all, and that's probably a detriment to an example of why we haven't. I'm all right with Logan. I think he's doing fine in this role, filling in a Seth Rollins spot. I like that it highlights Braun Breaker more than Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
Seth was overpushed, but I don't hate Seth. I just at that tip top level, that Punk, that Roman level, Cody level, I just don't see it with him. But
drawing back to our conversation, Ryan.
Yeah,
in WWE sometimes they'll put people in positions where their frailties are exposed.
Yeah,
I think Seth Rollins is a good wrestler. I think he's good at WWE TV. I understand why he's always being used. Sometimes when you put Seth at the tippy top position, you start to see the reasons why he shouldn't be there. Yeah. And I think he's effective in being used in opposition to Punk and Cody. But I think sometimes when you make him the centerpiece, you get problems.
And he was given so much. He was given the night one main event WrestleMania win with the big angle, and he was given that cash in at SummerSlam to close night one. He was given so much, and he was just given a Cody Rhodes win as well.
By the way, Richard Anno in the chat says Braun should start the WarGames match. Vehemently disagree. Braun Breaker should not be the punch and kick for 20 minutes guy in the match. I want Braun Breaker to come in and unleash hell on everybody. And so the guys
I get his sentiment. I get his sentiment, but I think you're spitting facts there.
Drew McIntyre should start this thing. He's a guy you can reliably. He's a guy who's reliable in chopping guys in the corner and stomping, throwing stomps, and kicking guys.
Interesting movement when it's used when it doesn't matter. Let's be real.
Yeah, Drew is the reliable. You don't need him to come in and be like the destroyer. Drew McIntyre can be the guy that's steady, reliable, chops, punches, kicks, stomps, all that type of stuff. And he can do it in a way that's not, going to bore everybody to tears. Bronson Reed, he can be number 2, Logan Paul can be 2 or 3. Braun Breaker and Brock Lesnar have to be the guys that you kind of come in there and they're just like monsters.
And they should have that moment in the cage that Punk in Roman had last year. Which is memeable just to say it. Like
yes.
They should have that interesting tension in the cage to see where it builds to in the future.
Yep.
That's good shit there. Logan Paul, is there any chance that him and his brass knuckles are the ones that knocked out Jacob Fatu's teeth 6 weeks ago? Because he has his wisdom teeth out. So I found it interesting that they kind of did the teeth angle. And if you look at the timetable with adults, it's about 6 to 8 weeks with wisdom teeth. You know what I mean? It's no joke as you get older.
I'll tell you what, I didn't think about that. That's possible. I'd like to see Jacob get involved in this whole mix because it's time for him to get really elevated into that main event role. They had lightning in a bottle with him and then went out of their way to poop on it. So yeah,
he can get lightning in the bottle and benefit from it. Is he the angle that we're desperately kind of trying to drum up, so to speak?
Maybe he is. Maybe. In terms of the involvement of the match, I expect Logan to get to the top of the cage and do something really stupid.
And I would warrant that. He could use a little. Actually, I don't mind him in the vision because he's working with his strengths, with his just subtleties instead of continuous like promo. The longer he goes on a promo, the less interesting I get. Let's put it that way, right? So
absolutely.
So whatever strong attributes that he has, because I believe he does have some, and I believe he needs to evolve as a WWE wrestler, right? He
Yes,
just can't be a
yes.
celebrity Logan Paul.
He cannot just be the guy who's like, "LOL, you're broke. I'm viral. I'm
Yeah.
Logan Paul," and then you
So
just don't.
being around Braun, he's kind of working that out, in my opinion. And Heyman obviously
Well,
would help him as well too.
I think the pairing is. I've said it before. It's a band-aid, but I understand why they saw that there were overlapping attributes to where it would work, and to that point, it hasn't not worked. If that makes any sense,
Yeah,
it hasn't not worked. So
it's interesting. At least I find it more interesting with Braun as the guy and Bronson and Logan as the lackeys, instead of Seth being the guy and the Browns are the lackeys. I like this vision, no pun intended, a little bit better. So, all right, we're exhausted. I don't think you want to do 5 minutes on Brock Lesnar, but
no,
if you would, the floor is yours. He's kind of the one guy we haven't touched on.
there's just not much to say. He's going to come in and you know exactly what he's going to do in the match. The question is just who's his Mania opponent. We're not going to see Brock a million times between now and Mania season. So, again,
I'm actually kind of pumped he's in a WarGames match. This is his first tag match since returning in 2014 or 2012, excuse me. I believe his last tag team partner was, I saw the stat, I can't think about it. Someone in the chat knows, jumping on me, but think about it. He hasn't tagged with anyone in eons and eons and eons. You know what I mean? So was it Sean Stasiak versus the Hardy Boys on that UK pay-per-view in 2022?
Jesus, could you imagine?
Can you imagine that match? I think I went. Actually, I see that. I think I went 2 3/4. I'm not gonna lie, but I didn't expect to talk about Sean Stasiak. But yeah, man, Ibou, we're at the end here, bro. Would you like to give us a prediction? Anything more on Brock? Anyone more on anything else? Where are you at?
I think the heels are going to win. And I think a lot of Mania stuff is going to be very, very, very made plainly clear coming out of this match.
Okay, and are you optimistic heading into Mania? Will you be? Predict your optimism. I know you're a little bit. I don't want to say I'm down on the product, but I shouldn't be melatonin to it. If that's let's put it that way. I should have that. I should still have, with the roster that they have, I should still have that yearning to watch a PLE, to turn on Raw and see what's going on instead of going through the motions with it, so to speak. That's where I'm at. I'm interested, but I feel like I'm going through the motions, so to speak. Where do you think will be in 2026 compared to where you are right now? You think they got it in them to get you there?
This is a cop-out answer, but ask me that in like 2 months. Because
I know, but I'm like, of course, like, predict your feelings, right? I'm just saying, do you have the trust right now that you feel like you will get them there? That's what I was thinking. But I understand you don't know because
it's really there's so many moving parts that will affect this.
Yeah. And I would hope that this WarGames match is pivotal because we talked about it for an hour.
It literally, coming out of this match, my answer to your question will be easier to give.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a big one.
January 20th, 2004. All right. All right, here we go. Thank you. January 20th, 2004. It was a 3-on-2 handicap match. Chris Benoit and John Cena defeated Brock Lesnar, Matt Morgan, and Rhino. That was the last tag match that Brock Lesnar was a part of. That's crazy.
That would have been the Survivor Series 03 build.
Yeah, that's like a relic of that Survivor Series match 2 months before that, right? Yeah, so that was at Angle versus Brock at Survivor Series 2003. So that was like the leftovers of that. Interesting.
Awesome.
All right. Ibou, self-made pro wrestling is pretty much your focus right now. You, Christo, Robin, Ao.
Yep.
Throw a plug out there. I know people are going to listen to this on Rewind. So what you guys got going on over there?
Well, tomorrow we'll be doing the Self-Made Sessions, which is our Monday podcast, and this one we'll be talking about Full Gear and some of the aftermath. I have some major news to report regarding the upcoming direction of the AEW Championship, with regards to, again, everything coming out of that show. So we'll be talking about that. We'll talk some Survivor Series. We'll preview Survivor Series, in fact, and we will also be announcing the nominations for the Self-Made Awards. We are doing awards, and the nominees will be revealed tomorrow night. So that's tomorrow. Year-end awards. Yes, sir.
Awesome.
So you can catch us there. I operate primarily in the Selfmade Discord these days, which if you'd like to join that, the link is in the bio. At SelfmadePW is our Twitter handle, and in the bio of that is the Discord. I'll be in there tonight, in fact. And we do all kinds of cool, fun exercises and streams. Joe Hulbert of Late Night Grin does a weekly show called the Hulbert Hour. It's impossible to explain, but it's basically his customized 1 hour wrestling show, which is comprised of different angles, promos, and matches from different eras, all taped together. It's really, really fascinating. But the bottom line is, I'm in Selfmade. I'm doing a stream tomorrow. I'm very, very excited about that. We have launched our new show, Destination Dynamite, featuring our newest quote unquote signings. And they're doing a great job with that so far. That's every Thursday. And so some real fun stuff's going right now in Selfmade. And I'm always happy to plug that. I'm always happy to be on these shows, man. I thought this was another really, really good one.
Yeah, no doubt, Ibou. It was we dusted off the mics. We haven't talked to each other since SummerSlam on here.
That's what we do.
It's kind of good to kind of have a year rewind where we were in build momentum. I feel optimistic that we're gonna get a low-level 4-star match.
Hopefully. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. It's not out of the question at all.
That's their ceiling with these low-level 4-star. I think I went actually 4.5 on the first one because I really liked it. But the story, there was a story there. We'll see what the story is here.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. Well, I don't know if I'm excited, but I it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that this match is really good. It wouldn't shock me. Would not shock me. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, there we go. Low-level 4-star is funny. I bring it all night, bro. But you get what I'm saying. 8.0, low-level 4 stars. It's a gentleman's 4. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the WWE's War Games are reliant on story because they don't really go there with the action and violence. So we'll see what we get there. But Ibou, thanks for plugging your shit. Thanks for jumping on. And guys, sub if you're new here. I appreciate it. And this was fun. And we'll see you soon, Ibou.
All right, brother. Take care.
Later, guys.